This week in Washington, Republicans dug in their heels again over increasing the federal debt ceiling, and many states across the nation have their own serious debt problems.
California faces one of the worst, a $16 billion budget deficit. This week, California's Governor Jerry Brown unveiled his plan to deal with it using a combination of spending cuts and tax hikes. California Governor Jerry Brown is with us now from Sacramento. Good morning, Governor.
Good morning.
When you look at California, you're looking at the ninth biggest economy, but also you're looking at a state that mirrors problems not only around this country, but around the world. People who want to cut spending but do not want to raise taxes. People who want to raise taxes but are restricted in whose spending they want to cut. What can the governor of California do?
Well, unlike the federal government, the state of California has the initiative process. And while last year I tried to get the legislature by the required two-thirds vote to let the people vote on new taxes, I couldn't get that. So I went to the people myself. I got over 1.5 million signatures. So on the November ballot will be a proposal to raise income taxes on the very affluent and a slight quarter-cent tax on everybody else. Combined with that, we're making some very drastic cuts in almost every area of state government. So we are going to start living within our means, something that hasn't truly happened for the better part of 30 years.
And suppose they don't vote for this. What do you do then?
Well, this will be built into my budget that I hope to be able to sign by the end of June, and that will be something called trigger cuts. So the people will either vote to bring in somewhere between 8 to 10 billion in new taxes, principally from the most affluent people, or they will vote no, and that will then automatically impose some pretty drastic cuts, because one way or the other, we got to balance our budget.
So if they, just to understand you, if they do not vote for the tax hike, then there will be automatic cuts, which will be deep, an austerity budget that no one has seen in California in a while.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And the reason why we have to have what we call trigger cuts is that we have to have a budget that's truly balanced. And that's just the way it's got to be. So the people do get to make a choice. I'm going to campaign hard for the yes vote. But one way or the other, we are putting our books in balance.
You predicted early, I think in January, that the budget deficit would only be $9 billion. What happened?
Very simple. We're not fortune tellers. We don't have clairvoyance, and the economy didn't generate about $3 billion that I thought my finance bill thought it would have. In addition to that, we got federal courts who blocked billions in cuts that I'm proposing, and then we have the National Administration that has not yet given us waivers on some of the Medicaid cuts that I've proposed.
You are relying on the people giving you more tax revenue, and you're relying on them giving you more tax revenue because of the fear of the automatic cuts, which will go right to the bone. To quote you, government is a nurse, it's a teacher, it's a highway patrolman, it's someone working in a mental hospital, and when we cut, that's what we cut. So that's basically where you are in terms of the philosophy of the moment.
Well, where we are is you got to live within your means. There's a day of reckoning, and government does a lot of good things. When it does more good things than has money to pay for them, it becomes a bad. So we're going to have to cut some good in order to avoid some bad. And that's called putting our fiscal house in order. It's not easy. The last several governors have faced difficulty in actually achieving that. But I feel at this stage of my life, this is what I've been called upon to do. And God willing, I'm going to do it.
What's the argument you make to the people who believe that you were a governor that would not be cutting not only what they expected to come in terms of what government does, but also cutting the ability of California to be competitive in the future?
If you don't have it, there's an old Latin phrase, nemo dat non habet. No man gives what he does not have. California doesn't have the money that people are expecting it to spend. So this is a matter of realignment. We're just putting both sides of the equation in balance. That's what it is. But if you live in an unbalanced life, you pay, and I don't think people ultimately, when they understand the facts, want imbalance. I think they like sustainability over time, and that's what I'm bringing.
I mean, you have put everything on this ballot.
A lot on this bill. One way or the other, we're going to get it. They say no, we'll have more cuts. They say yes, we'll have fewer cuts. But either way, California is growing. This is not Europe. We're not the European society with its kind of sclerotic regimes in the economy and their social structure. We're very entrepreneurial, very innovative, and people are still coming here. You know, this is where they invented Facebook, not in Texas, not in Arizona, not in Manhattan, and certainly not under the White House or the Congress. This is still the Wild West, and we're going to prove to the rest of this country and the world that we know how to do it.
Facebook was invented in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Well, whatever's invented, this is where they are. You guys, they probably were doing a little bit in their laboratory, but they learned fast to get on a plane and get out to California, where all the other innovative people are.
Well, that's where they live.
That environment, that laboratory of creativity, then you really get stuff done.
Well, that's true. They do live in Silicon Valley now, that's for sure. Let's assume that this fails, that the people say, Governor Brown, we listen to you. I'm sorry, we just don't think raising taxes and cutting is the way to go. We believe it's only cutting, which is what you told us.
Okay.
How will that be different than what the Republicans want to do now?
Well, that would be a more Republican idea. Yeah. And look, we're a democracy. I don't just issue edicts. I've made a proposal. But look, there's more than one way to skin a cat. There are many roads to Calcutta, and we'll take whatever one will get us there.
That's the Jerry Brown attitude. There is also this. Suppose a voter comes up to you and says, listen, Governor Brown, I hear you loud and clear, but you have a project that's near and dear to you, which is a $100 billion high-speed railroad. Why don't you make a decision now not to commit to that project because that's the kind of spending California cannot afford?
Well, you can say the same about fixing our roads, expanding our airports, our ports. You've got to build to accommodate the growth. As a matter of fact, the high-speed rail over the next 40 years, and it won't be 100, I think we can bring it in for a lot less than that, that will be half the price of building new and expanded airports and new and expanded freeways. Yeah,
but people would say the question to you, Governor, is whether it's more important to invest in a high-speed railroad than it is to invest in education. And you're telling me we have to cut education. Why not cut your plans for a high-speed railroad? Just as an example, these are the hard choices that have to be made.
Wait, I'm also going to propose a $14 billion water project to make sure we have a reliable water supply. We're also investing tens of billions of dollars, principally by the private utilities, in moving to renewable sources of electricity. California is not stopping. We're not some tired country of Europe. We're a buoyant, dynamic society that will both discipline itself on a daily basis, but it will, on the long term, plant the seeds of future growth.
How big a bet is this for you?
How big a bet?
Yes. In other words, your future and your reputation is on getting this bill passed?
I don't have that much of a future. I got more of a past than a future. So I'm not betting anything. I'm just coming to work every day. I'm enjoying the hell out of it, and I'm going to do the best I can. And whatever way the people go, I'm going with them.
Thank you for this opportunity to talk with you.
Okay, thanks.
Governor Jerry Brown from California.